take the old dirt road out past the hedgerows and the rusted iron gates. No path to the front door, holes in the floorboards, and the roof is leaking rain.
Today I am in Pendleton, Indiana. This is the Friends Meeting House. It's a Quaker church, and I got to be careful because this is a Sunday late morning and they are in service. This is the Old Friends Quaker Meeting House. And this is the newer cemetery. There is an older cemetery. I'm not sure, right in the middle of the screen you may be able to see the stones. I did a video up here earlier this year about the abolitionist Frederick Douglass, who in the mid-1800s came to Pendleton to speak on slavery, and he was beaten during that speech, and he went to a home of a Quaker who is buried in the old cemetery here in Pendleton. So I will put a link to that video. You see, this is just farmland, and it's a smaller cemetery. I want to talk about a gentleman who was born into a Quaker family here in Pendleton, Indiana. Lloyd Downs Lewis. So here in central Indiana, we don't have a lot of celebrities, you know, who I can go videotape their final resting place. But in the early 1900s, Lloyd Downs Lewis, I guess you can say, was sort of a celebrity. He was born May 2nd, 1891 to a Quaker family. He attended college at Swarthmore College, journalism school. He started his journalism career in Philadelphia, working with a newspaper called the North American. In 1915, he then moved to Chicago and worked with the Chicago Herald. He would enlist in the Navy during World War I, and he would serve about a year. Then he started to work as a movie publiciter, working in the advertising departments. He became an advertiser director. And he would join the Chicago Daily News in 1930 as a drama critic. He would then become a sports editor. So he's kind of an all-around journalist kind of guy. So here's something I find interesting. So we are at a Quaker cemetery, Friends Meeting House. And they are a very peaceful group. They don't believe in war. Here's a marker, though, for Lieutenant George Brown, Company B, 89th Indiana Infantry. Just thought I would show that because it's very rare that you see a military marker in a Friends Meeting House cemetery. So back to Lloyd Downs Lewis. In 1935, he co-authored a Broadway play called Jayhawkers. And he had written that play with Henry Justin Smith, and also with the 1930 Nobel Prize recipient Sinclair Lewis. He became an author, wrote primarily on the American Civil War. There are 3 books particular. One was called Sherman, Fighting Prophet. Another one called Captain Sam Grant. And a third one called The Myths of Lincoln. So this is the grave of Lloyd Downs Lewis. And he is buried here next to his parents. Like I say, born into a Quaker family. J. and Josephine Downs Lewis. And he's buried next to his wife, Catherine Dorothy Lewis. So he was an accomplished author. He had no children, and in 1949 he passed away at his home in Illinois and was brought back to Pendleton, Indiana to rest here at the Friends Quaker Cemetery. So that's the story of Lloyd Lewis. If you get a chance, look him up. Very interesting fellow. Friends Quaker Cemetery in Pendleton, Indiana. I decided to stop at another Friends Cemetery, not far from Pendleton. This is in the town of Cadiz, Indiana, Cadiz. There's a historical marker here. We'll see what it says. Established in 1853. Historic cemetery listed in Indiana Cemetery and Burial Grounds Registry. Department of Natural Resources. So let's just take a walk around. It is a little windy day out, so I hope you can hear me fine. This is a small cemetery. It looks to be fairly new as far as the markers for being established in 1853, but it looks like there is a older part of the cemetery up here. So we'll just take a quick walk around. But like I say, you don't see any military markers in a Friends cemetery. Very few. Very well kept. There's some of the older sections here. Let's see if we can read. Looks like that says Lydia Kendall. It's hard to read the year on it. Like I say, just a short walk around. So here's one of a William Cooper, who died August 17th, 1876, age 82 years, 9 months, and 6 days. So he would have been born in the late 1700s, 1790s. And it looks like here is a military marker. Or, yep. Corporal Seth Wood. Hard to read that, but we'll take a look here. He was Company I, a 69th Indiana Infantry Regular. So it says, freedom's cause and illness have robbed me of my eldest son and of his children. My heart is heavy from afar. Ben Wood, Fairfax, Vermont, 1863. It's very interesting. So Seth died in 1863. I'll have to look and see what battle he possibly died in. Children: Lincoln Wood died 1861, year of one age. Janelle Wood died 1863, newborn. Interesting, I would have to look that up. So I came back to the grave of Seth Wood after I did a little bit of research. Turns out Corporal Seth Wood died of jaundice during the Battle of the Vicksburg campaign in Mississippi in 1863. He was buried in a marked grave marked by a wooden cross. It said that his father sent a few of Seth's brothers to find the body of Seth Wood, and they found him, and they brought him back to Cadiz, Indiana, to be buried alongside his children. So that is the story of Seth Wood, 69th Indiana Infantry, who died of jaundice after the Battle of Vicksburg in Mississippi. In an older part, you see a lot of markers that are down on the ground. And like I say, there's not a lot of markers over here. You wonder how many possibly would be unmarked. Let's look over here and see if we can read anything. There's a flag, so it must be a veteran. I'm gonna wipe this down, possibly be able to read it. Nope, just too hard to read. Here's one that says John, I believe it says John Hudson, died 1882. And these markers go over here towards the fence. So this is Friends Cemetery in Cadiz, Indiana.